Do you ever wake up with an existential dread thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I even waking up? What's the point? Why should I get up, go to work, do work that I find not very fulfilling, expend all of my energy, working my day away and making another company rich, giving other people's dreams, you know, my attention. And if you support their dreams, that's different. But corporations and such, it's kind of hard to fall under that category. And think like, come home at the end of the day, you have all your errands and chores to do, your dishes, your laundry. If you want to stay healthy, you prep your meals. You go and exercise, and by the end of the day, you maybe have an hour or two to spare. And if you have a family, you have no time to spare. And it has me thinking, like, what is the world that was set up for us, in the younger generation especially, or those people with a dream and feel like they're stuck? What has it come to? At what point are we meant to accept this like daily rhythm? At what point am I meant to accept this? Am I meant to be like, yeah, I'm gonna wake up and just thrive, and I'm gonna serve my company, and I care so much about serving my company, and it's got me thinking, like, and if I wanted to take a day off, I'm either using my paid time off, which is very limited, especially here in America, or if your company even allows, you're taking unpaid time off. But then what you're doing is you have your expenses then that stack up just on taking a day off. Like if you have a mortgage to pay for, you're paying for rent, you need to eat every day. If you have your subscriptions, your gym, stuff just adds up so much, and it costs so much just to exist, bro. And that's why the freaking land off the grid idea that many people feel like they just need to escape. Like, I just need to go to the countryside of rural Japan and buy a house for 3,000 US dollars and just live off of growing my own rice and chopping wood and just like living life simply. And it's like, have we come to the point where a, our daily rhythm is a matter of just surviving? Like in both of those lights, surviving in a rural area where you chop wood for a fireplace and to keep warm in the wintertime, and you till the land, like that at least is in nature and peaceful. And for someone like myself, I enjoy moving my body. It's natural activity, it's natural exercise for an actual purpose. No offense to bodybuilding and such, but I find as I dive more inwards, I care less about bodybuilding. Like, of course, part of me wants to look like Goku. That probably will never leave. But at the same time, I'm like, Goku didn't bodybuild to look like himself, to look better. He bodybuilded because he wanted to be the freaking strongest ever. But anyways, I'm going on a tangent. And our now daily rhythm is like survival, but add stress and disconnection. We're in cubicles, we're in offices, we're closed off from one another. Everyone's wearing headphones, everyone's, staying in their own lane, doing their own thing. There's less of a community, and that's the whole point of a company is supposed to be like, you're in company with other employees and such, but it's gotten to a point where we're so productive and we're so isolated, and you do your own thing, and there's this weird tension between the politics of executive levels versus lower level employees. And it's like, it's a weird place. Like, there's a status game that is played in big corporations, and it's like, dude, I just want to live. Like, can I not have to work 40 hours a week to just like exist, bro? I'm living with my aunt and uncle, so this title is a little clickbait. I'm definitely not paying $200 a day to exist. But if I was living on my own, it would probably be maybe with my grocery bill, probably $200 a day is accurate. But the other day, my aunt and uncle saw me meal prepping my meals, and they're like, "Whoa, this is insane! Like you do this so meticulously." I had 6 containers out with rice in it, meat, and veggies, and I was just waiting for it to cool down before I could put it in the fridge, because of some bacteria thing. I guess you should do that. And they're like, "Wow, like you prepped for the whole week," and I'm like, "Well, this is actually for 3 days, but yeah, basically." And in their head, they're just like, "Oh yeah, he just likes to be healthy," but in my head, I'm like, "Bro, I'm just trying to survive. Like, I'm trying to save money. Everything's super expensive. It's convenient to go out to eat, but it's expensive. And I'm trying to stay healthy. Everything just has chemicals in it, bro. Like, everything has chemicals. Like, what? A bag of chips has chemicals. Like, all of these, like, gums and, like, things you just can't pronounce. And people are like, well, it's harmless in small quantities. But at the same time, if you're, like, microscopically poisoning yourself, does that is that it's still like poison is poison. Like a chemical is still a chemical. Just because you can't see the effects in a macro level doesn't mean at a micro level you're getting internally cooked. And your stomach is so connected with your brain. If you eat like crap, you're gonna feel like crap mentally. And so I have a lot of reasons why I'm meal prepping, but the end result is that I'm damn pressed for time. And to live a peaceful life in America, you really have to create your own existence. Otherwise, you're accepting, at least for people like myself, we're accepting an existence of just droning your life away. Like, I wake up, I do the same morning routine, I eat the same breakfast, I do the same commute, I listen to the same podcast when I'm driving to work, I work the same job, I come home, I do the same stuff, the same thing over and over and over. And it's like, in my free time, when I'm living, I'm actually preparing myself so I can work and not want to keep myself safe. And it's just a cycle. And it's like, what? And I want to be an ambassador for like neurodivergent people because I have ADHD. It is very clear to me. I've also been prescribed or diagnosed and prescribed. I've been on and off medication. I'm off medication. I'm anti-medication personally, if you can avoid it. And my point is that people with atypical brains are not meant to work in this type of environment. If you think about it, people with ADHD specifically, in like a hunter-gatherer environment, they were the hunters because they would go out and their fast like way of perceiving things and their sensory inputs and such would catch like an animal in the bush, will catch like something catches their eye, and they're able to capture that attention and use it to their advantage, that fast attention. But nowadays, we're asked to sit in a sedentary place for 8 hours a day. And with a brain like that's not built for that, like we live in a society where we need different, each person brings different things for society, and not everyone's basically meant to work in an office, but the paths that are set up are for neurotypical people. Basically, the guaranteed job paths are mostly for people that can work in offices. But if you are raised with ADHD and you have there was a really cool car that drove by, and you have uh, that type of brain in that environment, you're not utilizing your talents, is what I'm trying to say. And it's something I find frustrating and also slightly depressing because it's like, how can I, what am I supposed to do? Like, bro, I need to make money. I'm passionate about a lot of stuff, but the whole time I'm like, oh fuck, I just cut this car off. I'm so sorry, bro. The whole time I'm like, like, my passion, the rent is due, bro. Like, everyone wants to be an artist, but the damn rent is due. I low-key am stealing this idea from a video of somebody else, but it's true. Like, and everyone's like, find a balance. Maybe not everyone, but when people I've talked to are like, you gotta find a balance. You will work a job and make money, and then you can also do your hobby. But it's like, to a degree, I agree with them. But if the job is something that takes up so much of your mental space and physical like energy, then by the time I get home, I'm trying to survive still. I got my daily chores to do and stuff. And by the time I'm done with that, I'm dead tired. And so if you're waking up and you're like, why should I like push through this long day, and at the end of the day maybe I'll catch a couple hours of what I want to do, but at the end of the day I might just be tired and I just doom scroll because it's easy and it feels good and it takes my pain away of being like, what am I doing with my life? And it just is funny, I can laugh at memes, and like, I can watch my gaming, I can watch Slay the Spire 2 runs, I can play Slay the Spire 2, and it's like, when you wake up thinking like, why should I do that for that life? Like, I'm trying to figure that out myself, TBH, so I just seeing if you're relating type shiz, because like what? Like, what? Am I going crazy, bro? Like, do people really... I don't think the older, previous generation understands, and like, the economy's, like, I'm okay. I don't want to blame everything on external factors, so here's what I'm gonna leave y'all with. I want y'all to be aware that there is a meaning crisis in many people's lives. And I will speak for myself, but I want to speak on behalf of Gen Z for those who feel lost, especially those with like ADHD or some sort of not a neurotypical brain. Uh, like, we must understand that our brains are just different. The way we have like a different skill set. We're like a spoon is meant to be used to scoop like liquid for the most part. And if you're trying to, use it for, stabbing something, it's not going to be as ideal. I mean, that freaking analogy was kind of booty, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. And so whenever we're put in an environment that is meant for neurotypical people, it's not as like clear cut, and it's frustrating. And so and I don't want people to fall under the trap of like, well, just accepting that that's their life. Um, Unfortunately, I do believe that for the neurotypical person, or somebody with ADHD, basically, I believe you have to create your own life. Like, and it probably will be the hardest, first quarter to half of your life, unfortunately. But it's truly what I believe, because so the past 2 years I've been unemployed. Before that year, I was employed for a full year, and I was like actually so depressed working full time in a corporate job. I was literally so depressed, and I thought, what am I doing? But the whole time I was saving so much money, I was like, this will be for my dreams, which I didn't even really know what they were. And then I went back to work an office job because I was like, well, I need to make money, and I can work on my dreams while I'm doing this, and I'm not really fully sure still what my dreams are. And it beats like losing money. And I put in my 2 weeks on Friday, and I'm like, well, frick, because it sucks. It honestly sucks, like being in a survival type of mode and not really thriving in life. And I don't want to live that life. Like if we have to accept a life of just work, then what's the point? Like seriously, in a non-doomer-esque way, just fully internal in your own world. Why should you struggle for a life you don't want to wake up to? There's only so far that Slay the Spire 2 and funny YouTube videos can take an individual. Cause like if that's really all the strength that one has at the end of the day left to do, that's not gonna hold up for a long period of time. And I don't want my fellow humans to fall into that trap of being like, okay, I don't understand why I can't do these things these other people can do. Other people can just tank through 40 hours, 80 hours, 100-hour weeks. Other people have all these passions that they care about and they're making money. Other people work harder. Other people are more talented. All this crap. I don't want people to fall into that trap of feeling like they're not useful or they're not productive or feeling like they need to be productive. But it's like the reality is that we need to find alignment as this type of group. And you might have to take a somewhat crappy job for a little bit to save money or to just be a stepping stone for your next step. But like in no way, shape, or form do you have to accept something as your whole life. When I started my job, just this job of like about 5 weeks ago, I tolerated it because I'm like, okay, this is kind of temporary. But the thing is that kind of temporary was so vague, and as the job went on, the lifestyle of living 40 hours working a week in something you're not passionate about necessarily takes its toll. And when you see no way out of something, then what's the point of pushing through the hard times? And so I'm in a blessed scenario where I still have a decent amount of money saved, and I just made some more money. I'm about to go to Japan and like travel with my cousin, and then I'm gonna just stay for an extra month or two and just discover myself. I'm gonna couch surf. I learned that there's definitely ways to like travel for free. So I'm gonna try to figure out what I'm gonna do there. Maybe I'll travel some other places too outside of Japan. Who knows? I don't know. I don't even know how far my wallet could stretch. But I'm feeling a little less lost today. And I really want to help spread this kind of mental health awareness about feeling lost and being unsure why. And especially if you think you have ADHD or you do have ADHD, like this might be like that. These might open up some reasons why. And people like us need to create our own life. And unfortunately, the bills do have to be paid regardless. So I'm still stuck at that part. And living life, just existing, is kind of expensive. But guys, what can we do? We can blame the outside world, or we can start to change our internal world. And one of those two, we have a lot more control of. And so, thank y'all for watching. If you want to subscribe to these random ideas, not really random, I'm honing down. I did a lot more reflection today, and I really like talking about mental health and psychology and ADHD and stuff. So if any of that interests you, you are free to subscribe, or if you just liked watching this single video and you made it this far, just thank you so much. And have a good rest of y'all's day. Bye bye.